Australia's first major motion picture without pictures premieres tonight in Sydney. Touch was made for blind and vision impaired people, but the story of a son connecting with his father will resonate with a much broader audience. To help us understand more about this incredible innovation, we're joined by director Tony Crowitz and director Attachment Ben Phillips at Sydney's Open Air Theatre. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Congratulations on this. Tony, starting with you, tell us about the idea behind this.
Well, it's was a crazy idea when I first heard it, like a motion picture without pictures. But making Touch, which is a film by MasterCard, was kind of an amazing experience because it's so visual in the end. Even though it's without pictures, you kind of get carried away in your brain with the pictures we create just by sound and music.
Okay, so take us through people going along to the Open Air Cinema tonight. They sit down. What can they expect to experience?
Well, they're going to hear like a blockbuster action-adventure film. And like you say, it's a lot about family and generations and fathers and sons. But it takes place all inside a man's head. So it is worlds like westerns and floods in Paris and stampedes of bison. So sitting in with hundreds and hundreds of people in the dark, all these worlds are created with sound in your mind.
Yeah, sounds fabulous. Now, Ben, a lot of our viewers would recognise you as an actor from shows like Offspring. You're a director Attachment. Explain what that means and what that role has meant to you.
Director's Attachment is basically learning from Tony all the skills of directing. It's an area I'd love to go into. Well, I already am, which is this is my first step into that role, and it's great. So it's coming on board, being Tony's right-hand man, advising him on what that whole experience of being blind is like, going to the cinema and enjoying film. So the challenges I might face, and that's why MasterCard have done such an amazing job putting together an incredible cast and crew like Tony, who's just so well suited to the job to teach me all the skills I need to go on to make future inclusive filmmaking, and just to bring this wonderful film to people with sight and without sight.
Yeah, well said. I understand you'd be learning heaps from Tony, but Ben, just sticking with you for a moment, you would have offered Tony and the crew so much unique perspective as a blind person yourself.
Oh, absolutely. There's things in the cinema that I might struggle with, such as trying to differentiate between certain characters if their voices are similar. So we had to pick a cast where the voices were quite unique. That's a good example of things we really needed to look at carefully to give the audience the best storytelling experience.
Tony, would you like to see more of these films? Would you personally like to make more of these films for people who are either blind or vision impaired?
Yeah, I would. And as to your question to Ben, what I've learned so much through this process is how Ben experiences the world. So it was all about using sound as clarity and I've learned so much about how my ears work, basically, and how we locate ourselves in environments. The way Ben talks about the way he moves through the world has been really inspiring.
That's a very
I'd love to see more of these stories told.
Oh, 100%. And it's important, you say, it helped you understand how your ear works. Because in most films, and correct me if I'm wrong, the soundtrack actually comes last or way down the production chain, right?
Yeah, so it was an amazing thing of putting sound and music first and foremost, but that actually made... A weird thing happens to my brain every time I listen to this film is that the pictures get incredibly rich, and it's something Ben and Eliza Jane and other people who are blind and low vision who've worked on the project have said how visual, and that's been a really interesting thing psychologically, I guess, how visual this project is without having any pictures.